Civil means within. Frederick Douglass was a runaway slave, and he was a great speaker in the North. People came to laugh at him, but when they went home, they believed that slavery was not right. Harriet Tubman was also a runaway slave. She led 300 people out of slavery by the Underground Railroad. It was not a railroad, or it wasn't underground. It was just slaves in marked houses. And every night, the slaves would run away from the South towards the North. Lloyd Garrison is the editor of the newspaper The Liberator. The Liberator was a newspaper that wanted to free the slaves. The Ku Klux Klan hated the blacks. They would burn wooden crosses next to their house just to terrify them. The Union is the North. The North had factories, railroads, and cities. The Merrimack was the South's secret weapon, and the Monitor was the North's secret weapon. They are both the same things. Iron ships, but they are both high-tech. Slavery was a bad thing in America. It was half the reason that the North and South are different. Abolitionists were people who did not believe in slavery. Harriet Beecher Stowe wrote Uncle Tom's Cabin. It was a book that when people read it, they believed they were abolitionists, did not believe in slavery. The Confederates seceded from the North, and Jefferson Davis is the Confederacy's Jefferson Davis is the Confederate president, and the Confederates' capital is Richmond, Virginia. When the 11 Confederate states left, Lincoln, our 16th president, declared war. And Fort Sumter was the first shots of the Civil War. And when the Civil War was on, the North had a plan. It was called the Anaconda Plan. There were 3 parts: to blockade the Mississippi River, to blockade the Gulf of Mexico all the way up to the Atlantic coast, and to attack Richmond, Virginia. In September 1862, Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. To emancipate means to free someone. In his proclamation, or official announcement, Lincoln declared that on January 1st, 1863, all slaves in the Confederacy would be forever free. Gettysburg was one of the worst battles in the Civil War, and the Confederate only had one town in the Mississippi. It was Vicksburg. Vicksburg soon separated from the South. The Appomattox. In April 1865, Ulysses S. Grant's troops invaded Richmond. Lee knew the war was over. He said, "I would rather die 1,000 deaths." The 2 generals met on April 9th at the Appomattox, Virginia. Grant agreed to let Lee's troops give up their guns and go home peacefully. When the surrender of the South was over, Grant's troops began to cheer. But Grant stopped them. He said, "The war is over. The rebels are now our countrymen again." Ford's Theater is a historic theater in Washington, D.C., used for stage performances. In the beginning of 1865, it was also the site of the assassination of our U.S. President, Abraham Lincoln. On April 14, 1865, after being shot, the fatally wounded president was carried across the street to the Pedersen House, where he had died the next morning. The 13th Amendment ended slavery. The 14th and the 15th Amendment protected Black Americans. they had the same rights as other citizens. They could vote. Now Ryland will tell about his sugar rocket and how it works.